Red Sox fans have long to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. This is going to be a tough play. It's over. And the Cubs,
Woo! Welcome to the best sports podcast on the planet. This is Triple Shot Sports on the All Access Sports Network. I'm your host, Brandon Combs. What a wild, wild day of football, man. I tell you what, the Dallas Cowboys, they were going to complete another comeback. The Cleveland Browns looked really, really good today until the Dallas Cowboys started coming back, but they did hold on to it. Justin Herbert looked really good. The Colts defense looks really good, but the Bears, I mean, it dropped pass after pass after pass, but we'll get into all that. Welcome to the show again. We are joined again by Jay. Jay, how we doing today, bud?
What's going on, Combs? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, it was a wild day. I know you and I have been talking a little bit about football as the day went on, but man, Justin Herbert looks good, man.
He does. He was really impressive today, I thought. Marching the Chargers up and down the field. For a minute there, I really thought that the Chargers were about to pull that off. I mean, they looked really, really good till about the half, and then they kind of sputtered out from that point. But, I mean, Justin Herbert looks like he's going to be the real deal, and I don't even know if Tyrod Taylor is going to get a spot back when he comes back from that punctured lung, to tell you the honest truth.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, unless Tyrod Taylor, you are certain, gets you into the playoffs and brings you out of this 1-3 start, you have to stick with Herbert. I mean, you can't go back to Tyrod Taylor after that.
I don't think you can either. I mean, I think you have to stay with the kid at this point. I mean, especially since the Chargers don't look like they're going to go too deep anyways. And if that's the thinking from the Los Angeles organization, then you have to think that, they're going to have to stick with the kid,
Yeah, absolutely. So that happened. I really thought that the Cowboys were coming back. I thought they were going to finish that off against Cleveland. And Cleveland just somehow Odell Beckham, he was about to lose 10 yards and then runs the ball into the end zone, and then they block the extra point and then recover it in the end zone for 2. It was a crazy day out there in Dallas.
Right. I thought Dallas was about to complete that comeback, and I was sitting there intently watching, and once again they just duffed it, because they were, like I said, they were charging back. They were down by 3, and then that blunder occurred, and then from there they just really didn't have the momentum anymore, and they couldn't carry it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so guys, we always start the show off with Shop Talk. This is your segment. We want to know what you guys want to talk about. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the NFL, a lot of conversations we were having, especially me over the weekend about the NFL. As Alan chimes in with "Go Cardinals," of course. All right, so there are lots of things going on in the NFL, but the one thing that I keep hearing, and it's driving me nuts, and look, we've said it on the show before. Anybody who knows me knows this. I'm a Marine. You're a Marine. But a lot of people are talking about boycotting the NFL because of this protests that they're doing, whether they're kneeling before the anthem or the messages on the back of the helmets, or the wordings in the back of the end zones and all of that stuff. And to me, it's a bit hypocritical. Like, I get the whole look. I will never kneel during the national anthem. It's not what I do. So I don't agree with their method of how they're trying to get their point across with the kneeling, but I understand what they're doing. And just as much as we fought for our rights and our freedoms to stand for the national anthem, we also fought for their freedom to protest. And to me, you can't sit there and say because they're kneeling, because they're having a voice, because they're protesting, you're not going to watch, because you watched while they were all getting arrested, while they were all, abusing drugs. You watched after Ray Rice beat the crap out of that chick in the elevator. You watched after you had countless, guys go to jail and get convicted of spousal abuse and all this other stuff. You watched after Aaron Hernandez committed multiple murders. You watched after you had Ray Lewis, who got away with murder. And you watched after all that, but now you draw the moral compass at a protest. I just don't understand. So I get into the arguments and I get into the fights. And look, I understand. You don't have to agree with somebody's method or even agree with somebody's message, but you do have to respect their right to protest.
Yeah, and I believe, the same thing. And just like you said, coming from two service members, I'm a combat veteran. I served in Iraq, did 2 tours myself. I mean, you've got to give them their right to protest. I personally don't agree with kneeling. I mean, that's not the way I would go about it. But then again, you have to also think this is not about the flag. This is not about the flag. This is not about the military. And that's like where the people, I think, can't draw the line and they can't see that this isn't about a flag. This is about injustice, racial injustice that's going on in our country,
Right.
And
and I get all, like, I get it. It's the racial injustices and all the stuff that they're fighting for. That's one way or the other. There are people who are on one side of the fence or there are people on the other side of the fence. And the politics of it all, that's not what we're here for. We're here for the sports aspect of it. So for me, for a sports aspect of it, with the fans saying, the fans who are always watching, and you watched and you supported the NFL and you bought the jerseys and you went to games, to say now because of all the stuff because they're expressing their opinions, now all of a sudden you're going to boycott the game. To me, you're more of a hypocrite than they are.
I mean, that's the exact way I feel too. I mean, nobody cared when Tebow was kneeling. I mean, different thing, but nobody cared when Tebow kneeled. And in a lot of aspects, he was doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But just for a different cause. But he was doing a lot of the same stuff. So I mean,
right.
I think people like to pick and choose their battles. I think they like to, make it when it's, when it's something they don't support, they like to make it about that, And I think that's where it comes down to, just the indifferences. But like I said, being a combat veteran, like, you're going to take freedom of speech away. You're going to take the right to protest away just because you don't like the way that they're doing it. I mean, that's just not the way it goes. You don't get to pick and choose.
I agree, and that's why I just think it's dumb. I had the argument this weekend, and it gets blown up because, to me, I respect everybody for who they are and for what they do. It bears, as long as you're not hurting me or my family, like, do whatever you got to do. If you break the law, you break the law, and the law will handle it. And if they don't, then you're going to break the law again. That's just how it goes. But I'm not going to sit there and judge somebody because they have certain opinions or certain views. I don't judge my friends for their political views, even though my political views aren't the same. I don't judge you for your religious views, even though my religious views aren't the same. It's just not. It's not who I am. It's not what I do. And to sit there and try to do that, or try to make that argument, or to try to push on other people that, hey, I'm not watching the NFL because of this. Well, okay, cool. So you're not cool with them protesting for something that is certainly going on in the country, but you're cool with it when they're beating their wives and they're abusing drugs and they're doing all this other stuff that is far more egregious than the thing that you're protesting right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So let's get here. Joshua Stevie says, how about the Bears? Look, the Bears went and laid an egg, but Joshua Stevie, you're a Minnesota Vikings fan. And they got their first win of the season this year. And look, I mean, great, good for them. Bears are 3-1. You guys are 1-3. How's it looking up at us in the division? Just wondering. Strikeout Beer says, "What's up, Strikeout Beer? What's going on?" Is this still a thing? Yes, it's still a thing. Unfortunately, they gave Ray a gold jacket. Yeah, exactly. You give Ray Lewis a gold jacket. That's another problem I have is that you have Ray Lewis out there protesting and taking a knee and saying, "Oh, we can't have this. We have injustices. They're taking young black lives." Ray Lewis, you took young black lives too. Like, what? How am I going to listen to you, man? You had one in the trunk of your car. Like, I mean, what voice are you? I feel like people can do what they want as long as it's not impacting someone else's. Absolutely. I'm with you, Strikeout Beer. Rapid Dave, our guy Rapid Dave and Alan over there at Strikeout Beer, they do a tremendous job. So check them guys out. You can check them out on Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. Strikeout Beer is the name of the show. Tremendous job, tremendous show. I love what those guys do over there. And you also check out Rapid Dave when he streams, his Rapid Dave podcast, doing all the Fortnite stuff, and then Part-Time Nerd with Alan. Great shows, good stuff over there. But we don't talk about that. Yeah, exactly. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that when you have a guy who is, protesting murder and he wants to be the voice for all these people, and yet he was the one committing the crimes. So I don't know. I don't get it, but it is what it is.
Allegedly.
So, allegedly. I got you. Just, I mean, him and O.J. Simpson, both allegedly. So, all right. So we went through a whole, Sunday of football, had some good stuff go on. I took down Professor Leonard this week, 2-1. Freaking Cowboys, man. I could have swept it. I almost called the sweep. But the Cowboys laid an egg versus the Browns, and the Cowboys looked awful for the first 3 quarters. And then they came alive, and then the Browns ultimately were finally able to put them away.
Isn't that the stereotypical Cowboys though? They're gonna give you a good game, but in the end, they just end up laying the egg.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Michael Buckheister, did the Bears win? Asking for a friend. Ha ha ha. Look, nope, the Bears lost. Bears lost to the Colts. You want me to say it? How many times do you want me to say it? They lost to the Colts. We had 110 drop frickin' passes today. They couldn't do nothing. That Colts defense is really, really good. And both defenses played well. I mean, we held the Colts to 19 points. It's not like they went out there and absolutely destroyed the Bears. They just look. You've got to work on some things. You got to get your receivers to catch passes. If your receivers are dropping passes that are hitting them in the chest, there's a problem there.
That defense is better than advertised as well. I mean, I know they got maybe not so many named players on that team, but the defense is really put together over there well. And, Frank Reich's doing a good job over there right now with the Indianapolis Colts right now. Yeah. Yeah. You said the Colts suck. Look, before the season, I did say the Colts suck. And you know what? I'm still not sold on the Colts. I'm not sold on the Colts. I'm not sold on their offense. That offense was not very good today. You're talking to me. I watched Phillip Rivers. Look, I'm telling you right now, when I was watching Phillip Rivers play, I thought we traded Mitch Trubisky to the Colts before the game. Even his completed passes were overthrown and underthrown. They are not going to be very good. Did they win today? Yes, they did. They're 2-2 now, I believe. So but they are not going to compete in the AFC South. And so I mean, great. Everybody wants to give me shit because I'm a Bears fan. So let's see, Michael Buckheister. Let's see if your Chiefs win tomorrow, or if they lay an egg against New England. 10-6 for the Colts. Buckheister, you are, I don't know, you're on drugs. Yeah. You like the Colts at 10-6 there, Justin? Oh, not at all. No way. Nowhere near that.
I see them losing way more than 4 more games.
I see a 6-10 record if you want to reverse that, and that's probably be at 6-10.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Browns next week, who looked really good against Dallas today. You got the Bengals, the Lions. Then you get the Ravens, Titans, Packers, Titans.
Yes.
I mean, and then the Texans, and then the Raiders, and then the Texans, and then the Steelers, and then the Jags. So, yeah. I mean, maybe 3 or 4 more wins, maybe.
Yeah, like 6. Like I said, Colin, I see them going probably about 6-10.
Yeah, absolutely. What else do we have today? What surprised me in the NFL today? Let's see these scores. There are a couple things out there. The Bengals looked really good. Joe Mixon tore up the Bengals today. Gardner Minshew did his thing too. I mean, he threw the ball 40 times, 351 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrows did his thing. Joe Burrows had over 300 yards passing today. I screwed up, and I thought that the Buccaneers were gonna, I thought they were gonna win, but I didn't think they were gonna have as, the day that they had. So right. I sat Tom Brady today in fantasy and started Joe Burrows.
I mean, it's not like it was, that much of a flop on that point because Burrows did still have a pretty good day.
Yeah, he didn't go for 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns, 300 yards. I mean, who really thought he was going to do that,
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's transition here. I do see that he is sitting backstage. So let's bring in Professor Leonard here. Professor, how are we doing today, buddy?
Oh, we finally talking about sports?
Funny guy.
We've been talking about sports, buddy.
Nah, I don't know what sports you've been talking about, but okay. What's up?
We just got done talking about Bears and Colts and talking about the Chiefs, and then we're talking about how I went 2-1 against you this week.
And it only took you three weeks. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, it took the Cowboys laying an egg to the Cleveland Browns to save your day today.
To save wow. Okay.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, man, when you win, you come on here with all sorts of fire. When you lose, man, you seem down in the dumps. What's going on? All right. So we went Bills versus Raiders. I took the Bills -3. And the Bills look, the Raiders gave it a run for a little bit, and then Josh Allen did his thing and just took over the game. They ultimately won 30-23. Then we did Cowboys versus Cleveland. We already talked about how that game turned out. Cleveland was owning. I mean, they dominated that game up to the fourth quarter, and then the Cowboys come up with 24 points in the fourth quarter. Did you at any point think that the Cowboys were coming back to win that, and you were going to lose that game too, Professor?
No.
You didn't feel like that in the fourth quarter when they had scored 24 points, and then the Cleveland Browns went 3 and out. Oh man, I feel like you're not being honest with me, Professor.
No, it's the Dallas Cowboys. It's when they get behind, they try to force the ball. When they force the ball, that's when they mess up the most. So no, didn't have any worries about it. I told you when we made the picks that for some reason Dallas plays like Dallas, and they get the extra special magic for it, and something always happens that either favors the Cowboys or hurts the Cowboys, and it always happens in the fourth quarter. And here comes a Denzel Ward coming through the middle and just picked off. So not really surprised. And if they would have, I'm sorry. Hang on. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Oh my God, it's such a great night to be here. It is so much fun. Oh my God.
Cowboys defense forgot they had a game today.
No, if I had to give a word for the whole day, and it's not the games that we picked, but just for the whole day, there were turnovers. Do you know how many turnovers were given across the board today? I mean,
there was a lot of
look
turnovers.
At the Raiders game. Let's not just look at the Cowboys game, right? But even the Bucks game. I mean, just go look at it. I mean, when I tell you that there's a small margin for error, right? That's that margin for error. And there was way too many turnovers, and that's the type of data that you just cannot calculate. I hope I'm saying this with enough energy. Okay, so I'm being excited.
Strike out beer that says, "There you go."
Yeah, I'm so happy that they're happy right now. So, but you know you're 5 for 5, or Yeah, that you're 5 for 5 with your other picks right now. Just saying.
Yeah.
So you went 50%. So you would have got your money back this week so far.
Yeah, I would have broke even. Would have broke
Yeah.
even. All right. So then the other game we did was Vikings versus Houston. I had the Vikings +4. Vikings won that game outright, so I didn't even need the 4 points. I was surprised the Vikings won that game outright. I didn't think they were going to win that game outright. Especially having to deal with shutting down team facilities until Thursday, only getting in 1 day of practice and doing the things that they did. But hey, this Vikings team is really good. And even though they are 1-3, they are a team that a lot of people were picking in the NFC North. They're a team that a lot of people were picking as the darling in the NFC. So to see them come out and do what they did, it really didn't surprise me too much. Who covers tonight? Also over under. Woo! That's
Hang
a
on.
tough one in this Eagles, man. I'd stay away from this game on the.
Who's asking that?
That's strikeout beer. I'd stay away
Oh,
from this
my
game on
boys.
this point spread. I think I would.
Hang on,
Over
I'm looking.
under.
What is
Over
it?
under.
'Cause I can't pull it up. What was the
Hold
over
on,
under and what was the?
I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up right now. So we had. Let's see here. Let me get it. All right, so we have the over under is at 45.5, and the Eagles or the Niners are 8.5-point favorites.
I would take the Eagles in the spread and take the under for the points.
Take the Eagles plus 8.5 and take the under for the points.
If
All
I
right.
if I was thinking off the top of my head without looking at any of the numbers,
Yep.
no, I would take the Eagles for the points. I mean 8.5, and Jimmy's not starting tonight, correct?
No.
No, and there's some other injuries that are issues. No,
All sorts of
I
them.
would take the Eagles with the points and go under on the total points.
Okay.
I'm just saying, but without looking at all the data, just based off knowledge, 8.5 points is a lot of points to cover. Even when they were strong, and I'm going to say strong, meaning that the offense was healthy, they were not clicking as a team like we saw them last year. And now with these injuries, I actually think the Eagles will make this a more competitive game than what people think.
Yep.
So with that, I would I would take the Eagles with the points and take the under.
All right. Perfect. Good call. But again,
That's just my opinion.
strikeout beer, Rapid Dave, bet at your own risk.
That's right.
Bet at your own risk.
That's just my opinion.
All right.
But
so how'd you do today in
more-
your spread picks?
How about that crazy pick of the week too, Professor?
yeah, hey, I thought. Listen. I thought
It
that
looked
was
good after the first quarter.
Hey, if I could just win on that first quarter, man, that would have been great. So the Lions, and I hope Strikeout Beer is watching. The other half of the Strikeout Beer. The Lions have this tendency. So I think at the beginning of the season, right? Just kind of hear me out. So the Bears, the Lions, and the Vikings all have this kind of like this secret organized, meeting, right? And all three of them said, "Okay, listen, we're gonna play good just enough. We're just gonna play good just enough so that we don't lose our fan bases." So and I don't see, and I actually picked the Lions as a possible upset because I didn't think that there wasn't enough offensive weapons for Breeze, and I thought that was going to be the end of it. I was wrong because the Lions said because the Lions. Yeah, because the Lions got a 14 up, and they said, "Okay, cool. So now we can just just relax." And you literally saw that defense go from being aggressive, right, to instead of putting any type of pressure on Breeze, that pressure just by the second quarter was just gone, and you just saw Breeze just picking him off and why he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So, but yeah.
Yeah, it was when I first saw the score and I saw they were up 14, I said, "You got to fucking be kidding me. He's going to be right again." I was like, this is going to happen again. And then, I mean, look, I thought the same thing. So I have Breeze, I have Michael Thomas, and I have Jared Cook on my fantasy team. And I saw Jared Cook and Michael Thomas were out, and I was like, damn, that's going to be tough. They're not going to score a whole lot of points today. Detroit actually might have a chance. But they did their thing. The Saints showed why they are still a top team in the NFC, why they're still going to battle it out in the South.
Who, the Saints? Yes.
Yeah.
But to me, in my opinion, the NFC North is already locked up. I don't see anybody giving Packers any type of a threat. If I had to look at the wild card, I don't even put any of the other three teams in the wild card talk for the
locked up. They're only a half game up on the Bears.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's watch one more week of the Bears. Just show us all why they are the Bears, and then we can have this conversation again.
Oh my God. Freaking Professor Leonard. It's always a pleasure, sir. How'd you do in your picks this week?
So there's only been talk about all the changes and movings of times and the game times, and it's been a crazy weekend. So there was 10 games total play so far, right? There was 10 games total play for. I am 6-4 right now.
Okay.
So
perfect.
I am 6-4, and then I think I do have the Eagles tonight with a spread. I think that's why I answered as quickly as I did. I did stay away. I did stay away from. I did stay away from the Pats and Chiefs game at first, and now that Cam is out, I might jump back into it now. But yeah, no.
11.5 right now is the spread. The Chiefs are favored by 11.5.
I think
that is almost
with Camo that they probably do it too.
And now they're talking about Hoyer starting and not Stidham.
Oh,
hang on, let me make a phone call, because if that information is true, I need to go make a phone call. That's all I gotta say about that.
That's what I heard earlier today as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
well, I could just tell you this. We're in week 4 now, right? And I can tell you that some of the perceptions that we had about certain teams are becoming relevant, and some teams are starting to show that you might have started off strong, but your true team level, as being able to click with each other, is starting to fall apart. And I can tell you that there's one game next week that, believe it or not, I'm actually looking forward to. And people laugh at me, and it's fine. I'm getting used to that. I'm actually excited about the Rams versus the Redskins next week. That game to me just seems like there's enough there that it's going to be a very interesting game, and that's already one of my games that I'm already looking into.
Well, Washington football team. We don't want to offend anybody out there.
Did I say
you
that?
said the Washington, not Redskins anymore, or we call them the Bobs on this show, bottom of the barrels.
And if anybody wants to have an argument with that, I suggest them to go watch the beginning of the show and watch the conversation that occurred. And yeah,
exactly.
Hey, aren't you a Bears fan?
Am I a Bear? What kind of stupid question? I'm wearing a Bears jersey.
I mean,
got a Walter Payton jersey on.
You say wearing a Bear jersey. I think it's painted on, but that's just me.
Is that a fat joke?
Huh?
You saying this looks tight on me? It's just my muscles. Washington football team, aka the Joe Bucks.
Hey! We should give Joe Buck just a little bit of credit. You know, he's
I don't
going
give
into
Joe
the
Buck any credit.
Hall of Fame this year. You know,
No, he's garbage. Absolute garbage.
I'm trying to find something and I can't find it.
What are you looking for, Professor?
It's football related. I can't find. I'll just shoot your foot. I got one of your boys' rookie cards today.
Oh, all right. Yeah, shoot me a
So
message. Let me know.
I was trying to find it. I was gonna show you, but
All right,
but
Professor.
I will show you this one.
What you got there? Jordan Howard. Yeah, you showed me that one on the last show there. It looks good. I like that one.
All right. So all right.
So we'll see you on Thursday, and we will do our picks again and see where we go.
Professor,
Yes,
do me a favor though. Next Thursday, you need to come with the same energy you came with when you were doing your picks, as after the
When I
picks
beat
are
you
done.
again.
Exactly.
Cool. So the reason why I'm still excited, right, is because I'm still a game up. So
Yeah,
I hear you.
you are.
no,
Till next week.
Today was
And
a
I get-
long day, as you can already hear my voice.
So-
We need that energy.
All right, bud. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Professor.
Later, Professor. All right, man. So that's Professor Leonard, Tony the Pool, Mitch. Look, I'm not going back on that. Look, I don't care if the Bears lose every game for the rest of the season. I don't want to see Mitch Trubisky back underneath center. You just don't. It's not going to help the team at all.
I think the move to Foles is the right move. And I was just saying this today. Foles, and it just like dawned on me when I was watching the game earlier today. I was thinking to myself, Foles, if he's your outright starter, then I guess you have a problem.
Yeah.
But if he's coming in to save your season, he's going to be the savior. And I feel like Foles is a good quarterback. But when he's just under center starting the game for you, I don't believe that he's that guy. But he will come in and win you some games, and even win you a Super Bowl and be an MVP.
He hit some nice passes today that just got dropped.
It's not like he's a bum or anything, but it's just when he actually starts the game, I just don't know what happens to him. It's like he loses his superpowers or something. That's
why
weird.
This past offseason, for the life of me, I couldn't understand where Bears front office can sit there and blatantly say that they did everything they could to put the Bears in the best position to win. When you had Teddy Bridgewater, you had Tom Brady, you had Phillip Rivers, you had Cam Newton, and you had all these guys that were out there, and you went out and got Nick Foles before half of them were even signed. Like, you didn't even give this a thought. Like, you went out there and you were just like, all right, who can we bring in here that's not definitively going to take this job from Mitch so that we can give Mitch every opportunity to fail? And that's what they did.
Exactly. And they just gave him someone. I feel like they brought someone in that would have pushed him enough where he would have stepped up his game, but not so much that he could come and just outright take the job from him.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I feel like that's what the Bears did. Because I don't think they want to go away from Trubisky just yet, because they just picked him up a couple years ago. He was in the same draft as Mahomes. You got to remember that.
I do.
I hate to bring that up. I'm just saying he's in the same draft as Mahomes. So he's in year 3 or 4 or whatever it may be. And I don't think that the Bears want to give up on him quite yet. But I mean, they might have to. They might just have to. And if Foles is already taken the spot 3-4 games in, then I mean, you might even have to look into rebuilding.
Yeah.
Again.
Hey Jay, your camera and your mic's breaking up, buddy. Camera and your mic's breaking up. So let's see if we can get that taken care of. Take you off the screen here for a few minutes here. But yeah, no, look, Mitch Trubisky was a guy that they went out and for whatever reason they fell in love with. I don't care if it was the interview, if they felt like he was just, going to be the guy that he's just not. Or maybe he was just a good salesman and he just sold himself. But I don't understand what they saw in him to take him and say, you know what, not Deshaun Watson, not Patrick Mahomes, but Mitch Trubisky. And I just don't I don't understand that. So because Mitch is the man, says Tony DePool. Brandon Jr. chimes in and says Cowboys playing the Big D, but the way they play today, I think the Big D up there. But Junior, come on, buddy. All right. So I mean you're not very wrong. It's kind of funny actually. I can't be too mad at you for it. But look, the Cowboys, the way that they played today was I didn't see that coming. Not against Cleveland. I still feel like Cleveland is still Cleveland. I did not think that was going to be a good matchup for Cleveland, but we'll see. So we're going to take a quick break here, and hopefully when we get back, Jay will have his camera and his mic all taken care of, and we will be back here in, give me about 90 seconds or so.
Open up my emotions just to make me a pussy. Tell the trolls keep trolling. Bet your ass won't push me. All you ass do is push keys. You exciting my demons. Even demons scared of me. Only fight when I'm sleeping. Power in my breathing. Got no rhyme and no reason. That's the reason I rhyme. Niggas finding my season. Y'all eating. I'm just tired of me starving. Actually, I'm being honest. I'm just tired of being complex. I'm over ripping the hole in your whole operation. I run out of patience and run out of pages. To write that I run out of pages. I jump on the mic and go nuts on the stages. I'm fucking amazing and nothing amazes you motherfuckers anymore. Cause my cadence is never stay the same. Don't ever say my name. The hell out my way. Got the devil in my head. The devil's in my brain. Like whoa, 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 whoa. No. Not gonna slow the flow down so you still folks will know what I'm saying. Until you replay the shit over and over. I'm only admitted and already said more than you say in one of your albums. Wow, standing in the ring and ready to get it and let me know who want a problem. Holla, I ain't never had a fuck what you thought. One more battles than you ever fought nowadays. 2, 6, 9 and then tattle when they get caught. I'm sticking to the code. Jumping for the side, then with the flow. Only getting hotter to hit the road. Trying to make these dollars. Hitting book mode. Fuck everybody.
All right, so we are back. Looks like we got Jay back here. How's it going, bud?
Just lost me for a second there, huh?
Yeah. No, you're good.
I think the professor worked his little voodoo magic on us or something.
he
Didn't bring that energy.
No, he was not a happy camper today. Said he had a long day, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. All right, so let's go through it here. So the Saints versus Lions. Lions jumped out 14-0 lead. When they jumped out that 14-0 lead, I saw the score and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on with New Orleans? Are they really going to start out at 1-3? You know, how's it going to go? And then they just turned it on. Drew Brees throws for 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, he was held underneath 100 yards, but he still had a touchdown. And they ultimately won that game 35-29 going away. I know the Lions scored a garbage time touchdown there at the end to bring it to within 6. But I think the Saints are going to give Tampa Bay some sort of run for that AFC South. I don't think they're going to go away quietly. Do you?
No, not at all. Too much talent on that team. Come on, think about it. I mean, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, who had a great game today, Alvin Kamara, and then when you think about it, the Saints, it's like they just have random guys that are just stepping up left and right every single year. These guys that just come out of absolutely nowhere. You don't know their name. They never had a catch before, but Breeze makes them into superstars because he's just that great of a quarterback, Yeah. I don't think Tampa's going to run away with that by any means. I definitely think that they will win that division, especially after, what I saw out of them today. And also if Brady can keep throwing, some darts like that. He was going long, short. I mean, he was doing it all today. Normally, Brady's just a little dink and dunk underneath guy. I mean, I've watched him for the last 20 years, don't get me wrong. So, But he looked real good today as well. I mean, Breeze is just Breeze. I mean, just every year, it doesn't matter what you put around him, he just has a big year. And it's just, I don't think that a lot of teams are going to be able to stop that offense, especially when Michael Thomas comes back. I mean, they'll still be good. And like I said, I don't think that, they're gonna run away with it by any means, me and Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we had Seahawks and Dolphins. Seahawks, 31-23 win this game. Fitzpatrick looked like he was going to try to bring them back. At one point, it was 16 to 5, or I think it was 17 to 15 or something crazy like that.
Right.
And then the Seahawks just opened it back up real quick there in the fourth quarter. Went up 31 to 15, and then before the Dolphins put up another 8 spot. But that game was not as close as it looked. But the Seahawks are, to me, a 1 and a 1A with the Green Bay Packers right now in the NFC. They can play with anybody. They can score with anybody. The defense is pretty damn good. But I do think that the Packers right now are just a step above them.
I think that, when you see that, they play these AFC East teams, and I think they have a lot of trouble against them, especially Belichick-led teams. For instance, last week, they played New England, had a tough time against them. This week they play Miami. You got what's his name down there, disciple of Bill Belichick, runs pretty much the same defense. All kinds of stuff like that. So I think they just have a little bit of trouble with these AFC East teams. I also want to see how they do against Buffalo, and that I kind of think that'll be the determining factor for me. Anybody can beat the Jets, so but I think it's just something with the AFC East, and they always kind of go down to the wire with them. But I mean, like you said, it wasn't a blow up by any means, and when you look at the game, the points on the game compared to the way it was played, I mean, it was just a whole different story,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that the Seahawks are one of those teams who week in and week out are going to be the favorite to win their ball game. And so I'm interested to see how it plays out there in the NFC. Then we already talked about Bucks and Chargers. The Ravens went into Washington and did what we expected them to do to Washington, and they just beat the crap out of them. Lamar Jackson had a crazy 52-yard run. Did you see that run?
Yeah, that run was crazy.
Yeah,
crazy run. That guy is.
Yeah, he broke 2 tackles. He jumped through another couple of guys. He was unreal.
No, with Lamar Jackson is when he got drafted, everybody all he thought he was going to be was a running back, and I mean, here he is showing and proving to everybody that he also has a cannon for an arm too, because he made a lot of throws today that surprised me, and I didn't really think that he could make as well. But I mean, he's proven to be more than what everybody thought he was going to be, and he might be the next after Mahomes to actually get a title.
Yeah. Hey Jay, we're losing you here again, buddy. Let's see what we got. All right, so the Ravens looked really, really good, and Lamar Jackson looked really, really good. People talk about him being a running back. That was a 52-yard run that he ran, and he finished the game with 53 yards rushing. And granted, he was Baltimore's top performing rusher, but that team is very good, and they are built on what Lamar Jackson can bring to the table, whether it's with his arm or with his legs. He finds a way to do it, and he knows when to do it. He knows when to run. He knows when to pass. He doesn't do. It's not like he's looking to run first. He's looking to pass first, and if he has to take off, he can. And then he's got the ability to break tackles, juke you out, and make you miss. And for me, that's just like from a quarterback position, that is amazing to watch, and I love watching it every day. So, Jay, we got you back here, bud?
I think so.
Must
be the internet connection. I do not know what's going on today.
Yeah, no.
So I guess it's one of those things for everybody,
Yeah, I guess it's just one.
Internet's not working.
Maybe Professor became Wreck-It Ralph and just went and wrecked the internet.
Exactly.
All right. Now with Cam gone, prediction on the Pats game. All right, so let's get into that real quick. Cam Newton's out, and it looks like they are going with Hoyer over Josh Stidham. To me, I think you would have went either way there, and I don't think it would have made a difference. I think without Cam Newton, this is not a game. This is not a game at all. I think that without Cam Newton, the Chiefs probably win this game by 3 scores easy.
They weren't. I mean, like I said on Thursday when we were doing our predictions, I don't think the Patriots were winning this game anyways, Cam or not. I think at this point now it's really a wash. So you might as well play Jarrett Stidham at this point and see what he actually has. I mean, if the Patriots are that highly favored on him, like people were saying over the offseason, and they think that he's the next one to come up, then you might as well give him the opportunity right now and see what he has while there's a meaningful game to really play and show us what he may have or what he may not have. I mean, at this point, I mean, you know what Hoyer's going to do. How many times is he going to? This is like his third stint with the Patriots now. You know what he's going to do. So at this point, you might as well let Stidham come in and play.
You got to see what the kid has for sure.
Right, exactly. At least see what he has. I mean, so.
Strikeout Beer says could be close depending on what Belichick comes up with, but I think most of the defense sat out with COVID. I mean, look, their big players did. You lost you lost
Chung.
your Hightower, you lost Chung,
Yep.
and so you lost big parts of your defense there. And when you're going up against Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, look, I've said this before, the Kansas City Chiefs are a score-at-will team. If they need to score 60, they will score 60. If they need to only score 47, they will score 47. They score what they need to score to win. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe in that game last week against who did they play last week? The Ravens. They only scored 37 points because they only needed to. I think they could have ran that score up on Baltimore, but they just didn't because that's not what they do. Kansas City is so damn good. And I just don't think you can game plan for them. I don't think there's any stopping them. I can't see a team beating them.
There's not much you can really do to stop them. I mean, you can only hope, I guess, at this point, really to contain them. And I mean, even at that, teams are having a hard time even trying to contain the Chiefs at this point. And I mean, there's not really much you can do. It's just very, very Madden-esque the way that their team can be.
Right?
Like you said, They can score at will. If they need to score 60, they're going to score 60. But like you said, like last week, they only needed 37, so that's what they put on the board for you was 37. But they could have kept going. That's a fact.
So then you look at this the COVID thing. How does the NFL survive this COVID thing? Because now you got Cam Newton's out, so now the Patriots have to play a game without their starting quarterback due to COVID, even though reportedly he's got no signs of COVID. He's just, he tested positive.
Yeah,
and so positive. My first thing is my first question to everybody was, they keep saying if you come in contact with somebody who's got COVID, you're supposed to self-quarantine for 10 to 14 days. Well, correct. The last I checked, Cam Newton was the quarterback of that football team, so that entire offense has come in contact with him. So how are they playing on Monday and not pushing this game out more? And so
that's one thing I didn't understand either, because I was under the impression, anybody that came in contact with someone that had COVID was supposed to sit out, but now you're having this game. So what you're going to do now is the rest of the offense has been in contact with them. Mind you, the rest of the whole team has been in contact with them. Now you're going to have their offense line up against the Chiefs' defense.
Yeah.
And, that's just a recipe for disaster. I mean, at this point, I think they should just postpone the game for a whole week and not just till Monday, because you never know what's going to happen at that point. You're just asking for disaster,
Or do what you did with the Titans and Steelers. Yeah, you push the game out and you play it on a bye week.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I think you're putting the Patriots at a disadvantage here. I don't like. So they've got 3 games that they had to move this week, and I don't like what I'm seeing from the NFL early. I know it's different because they only play once a week, and you can't ask a team to play 2 games a week, and you've got to figure stuff out, and you've got the Super Bowl set, and you've got the site set, and all this stuff is planned out. You should have had a better game plan going into it. You should have had 1 or maybe even 2 weeks designated between the end of the season and the start of the playoffs to plan for, hey, look, we're going to have some positive tests. We're going to lose games. We're going to set aside 2 weeks here at the end of the season. And if we don't have any positive tests, then great. We'll have a 2-week, layoff for the playoffs, or we can move the playoffs up a week and just have 1 bye week before the playoffs, because this wasn't going to be a normal season no matter what. But now you've got nothing in place. And now you're forcing teams to squeeze games in. And it's almost like, to me, and I don't want to say it's not fair to them, because look, you're athletes, you're millionaire athletes, figure it out and go out there and perform. And if one player being out, even if it is your quarterback, I mean, do what you got to do. But to me, you're putting teams at a disadvantage when you don't have a good game plan for this whole thing.
Well, these are all stipulations too that are out of the player's control. I mean, they can't, help COVID and all this other things. So, I mean, it's not really their fault at the end of the day as well. So, I mean, like you say, players are going to play or they have to play. But I mean,
yeah,
when it comes down to it, these are like, this is unprecedented territory, unprecedented times. Like, we've never dealt with this. What I think should have happened is they shouldn't schedule a time for the playoffs. They shouldn't schedule a time for the Super Bowl, and then if they have to play those extra couple weeks while people, are sitting back maybe like a week or 2 or whatever it may be, then that's probably how they're going to have to do it, because that's the only thing that really makes sense at this point.
Yeah. So our guys here at the All Access Sports Network say KC will have 3 games in 10 days, and they say it's all about player safety. That doesn't sound too safe. Look, 3 games in 10 days is absolutely crazy. I did not notice that on the schedule. That is a brutal NFL schedule, and that, to me, that is a lack of the NFL preparing for something that was, to me, if you ask me, it was inevitable. You saw it with Major League Baseball. If you're going to play and travel, you saw that it happened, even though you took precautions. Did MLB corral it? Yes, absolutely, but it still happened. They still had those issues, but they were able to figure it out and move past it because they had a plan. You guys don't have a plan. There's nothing there. There's just not. It's like, all right. And when this first happened, they said, all right, so they're gonna cancel they were gonna postpone the Patriots and the Chiefs. They may play Monday. They may play Tuesday. We don't know yet.
Right.
What kind of crap is that?
I mean, and like you said, they should have just done the same exact thing that they did with the Titans-Steelers game. Just move it. I mean, move it to a bye week. If their bye weeks don't fall, that's probably what it honestly really is. Is Chiefs and the Patriots don't fall in the same bye week like maybe the Texans and the Titans and the Steelers did. So that's probably what they're thinking. But at the end of the day, all they need to do is just move it out a week, and then another team has a bye week. And I know that stinks at the end of the season because teams have momentum and they have all this going for them at the end of the year. But that's the most logical way to do it. Besides, let's just have them go out there and play. And like the network was saying, it's supposed to be all player safety. It's supposed to be all player safety, but you're putting 2 teams at risk just having them play tomorrow.
Yeah.
And never mind you playing three games in 10 days.
Yeah,
which is even more absurd.
3 games in 10 days is crazy. I mean, and we saw it in baseball. We did see an absurd schedule in the baseball because of COVID. I mean, we talked about the last episode where the Cardinals had to play 29 games in 24 days to end their season to get back from the COVID thing. Of course, the Cardinals kind of brought it on themselves. I didn't really feel too bad for them because they caught it after going to the club after a game and all that other good stuff. So
that's their fault at that point, but. Yeah,
I think the NFL has to have a better plan. How does one day really help? Yeah, exactly. That's my whole point. One day, if you push it back one day, you should have just played today. I mean, you're telling me that, oh, well, there's no more positive COVID tests and stuff, when the whole thing and the whole reason, and look, I'm not a big believer in the whole COVID thing. I don't think it's as bad as people say that it is. I feel like the numbers are completely skewed and all that other stuff, but that's a different story. If you're going to say it's about the safety, then what they're telling us is that if you come in contact with someone with COVID, you have to quarantine for 10 to 14 days because this stuff you may test negative now, but 4 days from now, you may test positive.
Right. You could be asymptomatic right now, but like you just said, in 4 or 5 days, you could test positive for it. And you're walking around, you still have it. It just hasn't, your test just hasn't come up positive yet.
And for the NFL, this is it's completely about money. It's completely about money. There's no way that it's not about money. All Access, see here. All Access Sports Network says Monday night and KC will draw a huge crowd, period. Exactly. It's Monday night, and they will draw a huge crowd.
Isn't KC actually one of the teams that are letting their fans in the stadium as well? Yeah, yep. So, yeah, it's definitely – I mean, to me it sounds like a money grab, and, that's basically what it is at this point because – if you really care about the player's safety that much, you wouldn't have them play that game tomorrow. If you really cared about the player's safety that much, you wouldn't have KC play 10 days. You just wouldn't do it. And besides them playing 3 games physically in 10 days, this is when all these dudes end up testing positive, you're not going to have a season. Yeah.
He says key thing here is Cam was the only positive test, aka maybe a false positive. But that is a key thing. But even like I said, he had a positive test. So if you're only pushing it back one day, you could have played today. There was no reason to push it back to Sunday. If you're going to make them play with Cam anyway, and you don't want to give them the opportunity to play this on a level playing field where you've got everything under control, then why did they wait a day? So I don't know. I don't get it. So we're going to take another quick break here. And then when we come back, we will be talking about the NLDS and the ALDS. They are set to play, starting tomorrow. We'll get into that real quick and then, some NBA, and we will get into some more football here. Hold with us here. Give us about another 30 seconds.
Time to take a stand, boy. You've been overlooked. I don't think you understand, boy. Souls overboard. I done played in front of grand, boy. Kill the shit, still I end up leaving empty-handed, boy. Waiting patiently, now y'all gon' sit and wait your fucking turn. Rise up on these ashes like a fucking nerd. Yep, I earn the shit and you try taking it from me, and you gon' fucking learn the hard way to charge. And who said he is the one to burn? I can't undo
All right. We are back. That was Mises there with Rise Up. Mises is a beast. Again, if you have not checked him out, check him out on YouTube. The man has some crazy messages. So let's go here. So we got the NLDS and the ALDS starting. 7 Central Division teams between the American League and the National League made it into the playoffs. 0 made it out. 0 are going on to the second round. And I don't know about you, Jay, but to me, that's insane.
Oh, yeah, I heard that today, actually, that 7 teams made it in from the Central NL, AL, and none of them made it out. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And, Supos and I talked a lot about, the Central Division, especially in the American League, because we thought the White Sox were good, the Indians were good, the Twins were good. Right. All 3 of them made it into the playoffs. NL Central, the Reds. I was a big proponent of saying nobody wants to see the Reds in the playoffs. They got dispatched. Yeah, and so, man, I was completely disappointed with their. So, is what it is. We've got 2 AL West matchups, 2 AL East matchups, 2 NL West matchups, and 2 NL East teams. So I say matchups, but it's teams. We're down to the final 4 in each league. We've got the Houston Astros and the Oakland A's. Who do you see winning this one?
Houston Astros, Oakland A's. I think I'm going to have to go with the Astros. I think they just have too much as far as power in the lineup. I mean, Oakland reminds me every single year of like the best farm team that there is. You know, like the best AAA team that there is. But they never have any stars. They can put runs on the board, but it's like very melodic how they do it. Like, you know, it's just like that money ball mentality. You know, it's just
and they are the darlings. I mean,
year.
They had a really good start to the season. They were the first team to win 30 games. I picked them to get beat by the White Sox, and they came out and they proved me wrong. They took out the White Sox in 3 games. So I can't pick the Astros because I don't like the Astros. I don't like the whole cheating scandal. I'm rooting against them. So I'm going to pick the A's in this one as well. I think the A's pitching is better than Houston's pitching, especially with no Justin Verlander. And I feel that will win them this series. And then the other series, we got the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays have owned the New York Yankees all season long.
Oh, yeah. They're New York's kryptonite for some reason. New York cannot beat Tampa for some reason. They can't go for the life of them. I don't know what it is. Every other team that they play, you know, they're just smashing long ball after long ball after long ball, and it just seems like when they play the Rays that the Rays just have their number every single time.
Yeah, and the Rays pitching is so good and so deep. I'm picking the Rays in this one. Probably the Yankees' offense is good enough to push it to 6, but I don't see it going much further than that. And I got the Rays winning this one 4-2. So then we go over to the National League, and we've got the San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers. To me, this is going to be the decide who wins the National League. I don't think that the Atlanta Braves or the Miami Marlins are good enough to compete with the San Diego Padres or the Los Angeles Dodgers. Man, this one's a tough one. LA's been so good, but they always find a way to disappoint you in the playoffs. And I feel like that's what's going to happen here. I really like San Diego, and I feel like San Diego is going to come out on top in this one. Probably this one's definitely a 7-game series, though.
San Diego is a very, very team to watch. They got the kid there, Tatis Jr. I like him a lot. I mean, I think they go as he goes. So I think if he has a great series, then, you know, everybody around him, such as Machado and all of them, will have a great series too. Pitching's decent. I like their pitching, and like you said, I think whoever comes out of this series is eventually going to take the NL and be in the World Series, because I just don't think the other side has it at all. And like you said, the Dodgers, they always find a way to disappoint you somehow, some way. Like they've been in the last 3 World Series, and each time they just drop the ball somehow. So I mean, they just always have this disappointing factor that they can always make it to the dance, but they just never get the girl, you know?
Yeah. And that's so the other series here with Miami and Atlanta. Atlanta's another one that I feel like they're young and they always seem to find a way to not get over that hump. But the Miami Marlins are that team that is not going to go away. They're like a pesky bug. They're just not going to go away.
They're like that pesky little brother that you have there.
And this one's a tough one for me. I want to pick the Braves because of their talent. I want to pick them because they're young and they're scrappy. But their pitching is not very deep. the Miami Marlins have the edge in pitching, if you ask me. Their young arms are really, really good and really strong. Sixto Sanchez is absolutely filthy. I watched him pitch against the Cubs in Game 2, and he was absolutely filthy.
Yeah, he was dicing that game. That's a fact.
So I think this is going to be my upset pick of this round. I think I'm going to go with the Marlins over the Braves here.
And I think you might not be too far off there either, because I think that the Marlins might have a great chance of taking this as well. I mean, I do like Atlanta's pitching. Don't get me wrong. I feel like they got a great staff down there, but I mean, I do think the Marlins, they're going to find a way to finally, beat Big Brother somehow.
Yeah. You guys should have gave Larry Warford the $7 million he wanted. Dollar bill, y'all. TB3. What is TB3? I don't know what TB3 means. Do you know what TB3 means, Jay?
I do not. It must be one of those millennial things.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if my son chimes back in. Junior, what the hell is TB3? I don't know what that means. We got through baseball, and now we've got the NBA Finals going on. The Miami Heat are in trouble. I mean, I can't pronounce his last name, Adebayo or whatever it is. He's out again.
Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, Adebayo, and then they're missing their other big guy. I don't see any way that the Miami Heat win a game here. I just don't. They're done.
Yeah, they're done. I still think they find a way to at least pull one off. I know they're up 2-0, and the Lakers look very, very dominant right now, and Miami's not coming back, and this might be a gentleman's sweep, it might be a gentleman's sweep, whatnot, but I just don't see it. I mean, where's the production coming from? I mean, like I said the other night, if Jimmy Butler's your one, I mean, I think you have a problem. With Adebayo and Dragic in there, they definitely had a chance with the few role players that they do have, Hero, Crowder, Duncan Robinson, you have them firing on all cylinders, and I think you have a chance. But I mean, with Adebayo being out and with Dragic being out, I think they don't have a chance. There's not enough scoring there. You just took away Dragic, who's scoring, averaging 20 points in the last series, and then Adebayo, who's averaging 27 in the last series, and then you took that away. Butler's only averaging 15, and then you had Duncan Robinson, who was averaging 13, and then Hero, who is averaging 20. But now you're asking these kids to do a lot more than they needed to do. So I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I still think Miami wins one, but
yeah, I don't even think that they get that. But let's fast forward then. Let's fast forward to the offseason. Lakers are going to win the championship. We all know that.
Right.
Does Anthony Davis stay in Los Angeles?
I think he does. Really? Honestly. I mean, where else would he want?
He's going to have his title. Yeah, he's going to have his title. Does he go for the big contract and the biggest payday? Does he come back home to Chicago and try to match up with the head coach that the Bulls just hired and try to bring this franchise back to dominance? Does he go to form a big three somewhere else or something like that?
I mean, I personally think that at the end of the year, Anthony Davis is going to stay where he's at. I mean, just the fact that, California, not the greatest place to live, but I mean, at least it's sunny every day. You don't have to worry about snow. You still got a decent team over there in LA that's going to still be good for another few years. LeBron still has, LeBron at 37 is still playing like LeBron. It doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. And that duo already showing what they can do as a duo. Never mind going to form a big three somewhere else. And I mean, as long as LeBron's in the league, anybody who's on the other side of LeBron is going to have a chance to win a title, regardless of, I mean, who they really are. I mean, look at the teams LeBron's been on and brought to the finals. You remember some of those old Cavs teams that, you didn't know one person that was on it, and there were a bunch of bums. I mean, think about it. They had Anderson Varejao back in the day, and LeBron had him in title games. I mean, anywhere LeBron's going to be is going to be there's going to be a title as long as he has somebody else on the side of him that's halfway decent. I mean, the Lakers,
no, absolutely.
So I mean, I don't think AD goes anywhere. Obviously, when it's all said and done. I mean, now the fact that he just signed with Clutch Sports and has Rich Paul as his agent as well, I think is another indication that he's probably not going anywhere. He's probably staying in LA. So
if LA doesn't have AD, are they as dominant as they are in these playoffs?
No, not even close. I mean, you got to remember. I mean, if they don't have AD, then you got to remember the trade that they made for AD. So you bring Lonzo back, you bring Brandon Ingram back, and Ingram made a hell of a jump this year, but he's not anywhere close to the level that Anthony Davis is on. I mean, on any given night, you could say he's the best player in the world,
right?
And LeBron has actually taken a back seat to him if you really think about it. I mean, LeBron's been giving all the attention to AD. He's been diverting all the attention to AD. I mean, I think at this point, LeBron's won enough. He's solidified in basketball. I just said this the other day. He's sitting at the table with Jordan. Maybe they're not eating the same thing at this point. Maybe, LeBron's eating a cheeseburger and Jordan's eating filet, but they're still sitting at the same table.
Yeah. And Heat are up by 14 right now in the third quarter. So
and that's the one that I honestly think that they will honestly get. I mean,
I might hop on FanDuel and put some money on the Lakers to come back and win this one. All right, so there's some other news outside of LA. We had Doc Rivers go and sign a deal with the 76ers. Do you think Doc Rivers does better with the Sixers than he did with the Clippers?
Oh. That's a toss-up. I kind of feel like, the Sixers are kind of in the same spot that the Clippers are in. They have the stars. They have They have the firepower. They just need to get it to the next level. And, maybe you give Doc Rivers to, Ben Simmons and Embiid and who's the guy they just signed there for that max deal? Oh. But, you give them a better coach, different offense, maybe. But, I mean, I feel like Clippers in the 76ers are kind of right at the same point, And I think it was a mistake for the Clippers to actually get rid of Doc Rivers. But, I mean, we'll have to see at the end of the day what really happens with the Clippers and how that all correlates and how comes to be. But I think the Sixers are definitely better off with going with Doc because it's better than what they definitely had,
Yeah. Are you talking about Josh Richardson?
No, not Josh Richardson. What's his name? He was always
think of big names.
He was always with Bo. He was always hanging out with Boban. I can always remember the videos they used to do together.
I can't think of the name.
If you look up the 76ers, oh man, they would come right up. But yeah, so.
I think that Doc Rivers, and I was talking to a buddy about this the other day. I think Doc Rivers is best suited with a team that does not have a top 5 player on it. I think that's why he was really well suited with the Boston Celtics. I mean, granted, they had the big 3 there with you had the Truth, you had. With Paul Pierce, you had Ray Allen, and you had.
Well, they ultimately, at the end of the day, had a big 4 because when you think about it, Rondo ended up turning into something that they didn't think Rondo was going to.
None of those guys were ever the top 5 player in the NBA at that time. I don't think at any point.
Right.
And so that's why I feel like he is better suited. I don't think when you go with the Clippers, when you get a top 5 guy, it's almost like they're an uncoachable team because a top 5 player in the NBA is essentially the coach of the team. He's the one that's going to pull the players together. He's the one that's going to run the plays. He's the one that you can't coach a LeBron James team. That's why LeBron's always trying to get his buddies in there to coach because he runs the team. That's just what it is. That's what the NBA is. I've said it over and over and over again that head coach in the NBA is a very overrated position because there's not very many head coaches that actually alter a team. It's just not. It's about talent on the NBA. But I think Doc Rivers with the 76ers, I feel may actually bring these guys more than he brought to the Clippers.
Yeah, and that's what I think as well. I think Doc does take them to that next level. I mean, like I said, I think that the Clippers and the 76ers were kind of on that same level playing, but I think you put Doc on the Sixers or have him coach the Sixers and he brings them up to the next level. I was just thinking about it today, honestly, now that they have Doc. I mean, my Celtics need to watch out, I mean, just having them over there, I mean, I think,
and they've got a good squad in Philly.
Yeah. And that's, who I was thinking about was Tobias Harris.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Yep. So I mean, but like I said, I mean, you put Doc, you could put Doc on that squad, and I mean, it's a very talent-driven league until you get to the playoffs,
right?
And then it becomes about coaching,
right? All right. Well, I mean, I'm not a big NBA guy, so I mostly watch playoff basketball. I really don't watch much during the regular season. I'm either watching, football or hockey or baseball. But I do pay attention here and there in the regular the postseason. And the Bulls for me, and probably a big reason why I'm not big into the NBA no more is because the Bulls have been a hard organization to be a fan of and a hard organization to watch as of late. And they made a good hire there with Donovan to become the head coach here. Billy Donovan, head coach in the Bulls, and I think if you can land a guy like an Anthony Davis or something, or I mean, do you build around who's their young guy there? What's that?
Cameron Payne. I know he's one of them.
No, not Payne. Zach LaVine. Do you build around LaVine? Do you build around?
The thing about LaVine, though, is, I mean, at any point, he could want to, leave town. I mean, the only way that I think he's honestly staying is if you get an Anthony Davis type player. But I honestly don't think that, Anthony Davis, even being from Chicago, wants to go to a team that's rebuilding after he just won a championship, because of the statements that he makes. He says, "Oh, I want those big games. I want these big shots." You're not getting those big games and those big shots if you're on the Bulls. I mean, maybe if you bring them back to dominance, but even then, they still have a good 3 years, 4 years.
There's a couple of names that people don't talk about on this team. I really like Lauri Markkanen. I think Lauri Markkanen can be a top 20 NBA player. Chris Dunn's all right. He's not a bad little piece to have, but he's more of a piece. Like he's not not an answer.
I think he's highly overrated, and he came out of college very overrated. But I think he's still a good player. But like you said, he is a piece to.
And you got Kobe White and Wendell Carter Jr. They've got some nice pieces, but they really need to go out and they need to find a way to get a top 10 guy on this roster.
Right.
I just don't know if a top 10 guy wants to come play for these guys.
Right. And, that's just the way it is, and it kind of stinks when it comes down to it because, a lot of players just go to a lot of the organizations that are on top at the time, or it's like where it's warm,
Right.
But I do think, Billy Donovan coming out of, coaching, all those years down in Florida, I think he'll do better with those young guys. But you're right. Yep. They still need, some sort of even a top 15 or 20 type guy to come in there and, try to turn that around, because I don't see the Bulls going anywhere for a while if they don't, and like you said, marketing's a good piece, and Zach LaVine's is good. And he's probably a top 20 guy, if not, right on the threshold, just about to
I think
be
the
there.
Bulls need to change their front office around. I think Gar and Pax are two guys that just need to change the scenery. Like I don't think that they do a good job in the front office, although the Billy Donovan hire was good. They've missed a lot in their drafts. I mean, I think they hit on Markkanen. And the Zach LaVine guy, I like Zach LaVine a lot. But I feel like at this point, what you need to do is you need to go get a top 10 guy and trade Zach LaVine to get a couple better players around a Lauri Markkanen and whoever that top 10 player is that you bring in, whether it is an Anthony Davis or somebody else. I think Zach LaVine is the only piece that you can go where you can get enough
something of
back
value
in return. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, that's really the only thing that I would want on the Bulls at this point. If I was sitting there as a GM and I was thinking, oh, what can I get for the Bulls for a trade? It'd probably be LaVine and then LaVine and Markkanen. But I mean, I don't think you give up Markkanen if you're the Bulls. I think he's more than a piece. He could really help you out on a championship level, but it just, you need to get another, like you said, another top 10 guy in there, or, two at least top 15, 20 guys,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. All right, guys. So all you guys out there still watching, we are getting close to that time where we get back to another segment of Shop Talk. We want to talk about what you guys want to talk about, whatever the case is. Last episode, Jay and I, we got into a little bit of Marine Corps boot camp stories. If we have to, we'll get into some more Marine Corps stories. never get tired of the Marine Corps stories.
They never get old. They never get old.
Oh, man. Man, do I got a lot of them. Some of them may not be safe for air, but hey, is what it is, and it's our show, right? So
yeah, facts.
All right, so we're going to take another quick break, and then when we get back, we will get into a little bit of Way or No Way. We'll be back here in about 90 seconds, guys.
Time to take a stand, boy. You've been overlooked. I don't think you understand, boy. Souls overboard. I done played in front of grand, boy. Kill the shit, still I end up leaving empty-handed, boy. Waiting patiently, now y'all gon' sit and wait your fucking turn. Rise up on these ashes like a fucking urn. Yep, I earn a shit and you try taking it from me, and you gon' fucking learn the hard way. The Charles ain't gon' say he ain't one to the nice guys finish last. That's the case, I'm tell the whole world to kiss my ass. Cause when I'm sex, it's only time that I finish last. Got me sweating like we in the gym, hitting the bags. But that's the wifey ain't ashamed to say I'm Christian, man. I really live it, so miss me with your tradition, fam. Fuck you, put my faith up there and let them judge you. You think my lyrics bad? You should hear me when I pray. I ain't playing, I got one move left and I'ma execute it perfectly until the whole entire motherfucking world is hurting me. Yeah, either that or till they murder me. Cause quitting never fucking work for me. keep trolling. Bet your ass won't push me. All your ass do is push keys. You exciting my demons. Even demons scared of me. Only fight when I'm sleeping. God, why am I breathing? Got no rhyme for no reason. That's the reason I rhyme. Niggas finding my season. I'm tired of y'all eating. I'm tired of me starving. Actually, I'm being honest. I'm just tired of being complex. I'm over for the whole of your whole operation. I run out of patience and run out of pages. To write that I run out of pages. I jump on the mic and go nuts on the stages. I'm fucking amazing and nothing amazes you motherfuckers anymore. Cause my cadence is never stay the same. Don't ever say my name. The hell out my way. Got the devil in my head. The devil's in my brain. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, 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 no. Not gonna slow the flow down so you still folks will know what I'm saying until you replay this shit over and over. I'm only admitted and already said more than you say in one of your albums. Wow, I'm standing in the ring and ready to get it and let me know who want a problem. Holla, I ain't never ran a fuck what you thought. More battles than you ever fought nowadays. 2, 6, 9 and then tattle when it get called. I'm sticking to the code. Up before the signs, even with the flow. Only getting hotter to hit the road. Trying to make these dollars. Getting both more money, everybody. Highest mic on, oh my gosh. To see me with the lights off. It's a motherfucking star. I said that on the first call. Fuck my first step on. I bet you getting nowhere. But now you fucking do.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties. Did lose some of my sound there for a little bit. So this is where we get into way or no way. I lost the sound bit for it. I was trying to get to it, and I don't know what happened to it, so I'll have to figure that all out. But way or no way, you guys know how it goes. I give some things, some takes from some stuff that's happened this weekend or just whatever I feel like putting in there. And then we give our take way, whether we think we agree with it, or no way if we don't agree with it. And we give a reason why. So the first one here is after today and after now the Cowboys are 1-3, the Cowboys are poised to disappoint again in Big D and not even compete in the NFC East.
It's kind of a toss-up. I mean,
yeah,
the Cowboys have that always, they could win or they could clip off a bunch of games in a row, and Dak could come out and throw 400 yards every couple, for the next 3, 4, 5 games, and then they go right back into the hole right where they started. That's kind of like what the Cowboys are about at this point. I mean.
So if the Philadelphia Eagles lose tonight, the Cowboys and the Washington, not Redskins anymore, are tied for the division at 1-3.
Right. I'll have to go away then because I think the Cowboys are still going to win that division, even as horrible as they're playing. Philly's playing even worse, and Washington is Washington. I mean. Dwayne Haskins looked all right a little bit today. I mean, but for the most part, I think they're already going to go away from him, as sad as that sounds, and I think they're at some point going to go with Alex Smith. I mean, and, so I'll have to go away, but kind of not that I want to, but it's kind of, I guess it's kind of by default,
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going way there. Look, the Washington, not Redskins anymore, are not going to win more than 5 or 6 games. I think not. Dallas will win this division at 7-9 or 8-8.
Correct.
And the Eagles, they don't. I mean, they might escape here in San Francisco. San Francisco does not look good early. They just threw another interception. They do not look good at all right now. So the Eagles may jump out, but if they don't, they're a 6-10 team too. So exactly. I think the Cowboys will end up winning this division. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think exactly.
So staying in football, we talked about this a little bit. We talked about the New England Patriots and having to play, and they're only pushing it out 1 game, and they're not making the guys who were in contact with Cam Newton quarantine. So that being said, Cam Newton's not showing any signs of COVID, and it could be a false positive test. Cam Newton should be cleared to play tomorrow.
I believe so as well. I mean, if on one day you're going to allow the rest of the players to play that have come in contact with Cam Newton, regardless of the fact if it's a false positive or not, or if he did test positive, and all those other people were around him. I mean, think about how many people the quarterback is around all week long. He's around the entire offense. Okay, so we're speaking about the entire offense. Not only that, he's around the offensive coaching staff.
Yep.
And then the offensive coaching staff is around the head coach. The head coach is around the defensive staff.
Right.
The defensive staff is around the defensive players.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like, what are you really doing? Like, what is the NFL really doing? They're saying that they care about their players and all they want is safety and da-da-da-da-da, but you're going to allow the rest of the team to go around other players that none of them have tested positive to my knowledge. So you're going to let them go around other players that, none of them have tested positive, but people or Cam has. But if you're going to let them ultimately the rest of them play, and they've been around Cam, then you should just let them play.
Brandon Jr. says, do you personally think he will play? No, the NFL is not going to let him play.
It has already been ruled out.
Yeah. The NFL won't allow him to play, but I think it's crap. I mean, look, this is an absolute way Cam Newton should be allowed to play. If you're going to allow all the players that were around him to play, and you're going to say, oh, well, it could be a false positive. Okay, so then let the guy who tested for it go and play. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the whole scenario. I don't like the way the NFL set it up, and I don't like the way they didn't have a plan for it.
And so now if it is a false positive and, he doesn't have it, now you're taking Cam out of the game for a game that he could have played, in which ultimately at the end of the season could be a factor into
and it clearly changes the outcome of the game, because with Cam Newton, they have a shot. Without Cam Newton, they have no shot.
Right. And also, you got to think at the end of the day, too, it's an AFC game. There's all kinds of stipulations that come with that at the end of the year as far as playoffs, this, that, seeding, this, that, the other, So, I mean, I think if it's an NFC game or something like that, which, all the games matter, but not as much as inside the division or, not the AFC East in general, but the whole, AFC.
If it's false, how long till he plays? He plays next week if it's false. Even if it's positive, I think he plays next week. But that's just me. All right, so the next one here is that the winner of the Yanks and Rays is going to win the World Series, meaning that nobody in the National League has a chance against either one of these teams.
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
The winner of the Yanks and Rays will win the World Series.
No way. Because I think that if the Padres or the Dodgers come out of it, I think that they give them either team a run for their money, and they're not necessarily, the Yankees or the Rays are definitely not. Like, I don't see it as a shoo-in. I don't see them definitely winning. But I mean, is there the opportunity for them to win? Yes, there's the opportunity for either team to win, but I just don't see it, happening.
Being a lock?
Yeah, being a lock like the Lakers are at this point,
For me, it's a lock. I think that if the Yanks find a way to beat the Rays, they're just going to be unstoppable, because this was a team that they could not beat during the regular season. It's going to push them up. Their offense is going to perform well. Their pitching staff is going to perform well. Garrett Cole, in order to beat the Rays, that's how they're going to have to play. Garrett Cole's going to have to pitch well. The offense is going to have to hit well. And if what I think is going to happen and the Rays win this series, that Rays pitching staff is just too deep. You get into the later and later you get into the playoffs, pitching always beats good hitting. And even though I really like the Padres, I just think that the Rays have too much pitching for you. I think that the Dodgers can't pitch with the Tampa Bay Rays either. I don't think any team in the National League can really pitch with the Tampa Bay Rays, and I definitely don't think that whoever wins between Houston and Oakland can compete with the Rays or the Yankees. So I think it's absolutely a way. So I'm going away there. The last one here, the NBA can start in January and get an 82-game season in.
Wait.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yep. I believe that they could start in January and get an 82-game season and be less to than at the point we are right now in it. So yeah, I do think that they could start in January and get an 82-game season in, and probably still be done by July. Playoffs, everything.
Yeah, I think they could be done on their normal timeline, where they're normally done in June. I think that there's just going to be less off days, but look, I mean, you guys are NBA professional athletes. There's no reason why you should need 4 or 5 days off in between games, every week. It's ridiculous how long your season goes anyway. Especially in the NBA, once you get into playoffs, I don't understand. Sometimes some of these teams get like 3 days off between games 2 and 3, and I'm just like, what the? Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Sometimes it's to the point where you're like, they should be playing, and then there's like another day that you're waiting for them to play.
And then you get to the divisional rounds and that type of stuff that they do in the NBA, and sometimes an Eastern Conference final will start on Monday, but they're still in Game 5 of the Western Conference final. They don't sync up their final their playoff series, and it becomes out of hand, and then you find yourself with 2 or 3 or 4 off days during a series, and that's insane to me.
It's a little too much lull, when it's like that, like 4 days in between a game when the playoffs, that's a little bit too much. I think people, teams lose their momentum over that time, and it's a very sport that depends on momentum and stuff like that. But it's very much like baseball, where it's not as physical as a per se hockey or a football, in which that. And I mean, even the guys who play hockey, they play 2-3 games a week. So I don't see why basketball can't be the same thing. I mean, for instance, I think they play like 2 during the regular season. They play 2 upwards of 3 games a week. Sometimes, but that's like, if you get a nationally televised game, or you're the game of the week, or something that to that effect. But like,
look, man, I know guys that go down to the rec and play freaking 7 days a week.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? So if you got guys like that who'll go, it's absolutely insane. And NBA players, I mean, they're out of all the sports, I think NBA players are the biggest prima donnas for sure. I mean, they like, I don't understand sometimes. And some of these contracts that they give in the NBA, you've got, players getting contracts just because they want to put money on the cap. Like, I don't you get guys that are getting deals and you're like, he got paid what? Wait, he averaged 8 points a game and 4 rebounds. What are you giving him, $19 million over the next 6 years for? That's what they do in the NBA. So
I mean, it's very reminiscent of some of these baseball contracts as well, though.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
I think they're all very similar in that aspect when it comes to baseball and basketball. I mean, for a long time, baseball was the sport, and they made all this money, and they had money to give out these contracts. And now I think it's I think the best thing at this point baseball could do is get away from the 162 game season, and whatever it may be. If you're going to take 20 games away, 40 games away, but I think what they had this year, if they expanded it by maybe 20, 30 games, you probably hit the target.
Yep. All right, so let's get back into a little bit more shop talk here. And I mean, you brought it up, so let's talk about that there. So we talked about contracts and we talked about MLB, and I am in no way. So I'm a big advocate of, the players are not overpaid. Professional athletes are not overpaid. I don't care what people say about it. They bring in what they get paid what they bring in revenue. If you look at a average Major League Baseball team, an average Major League Baseball team makes somewhere in the area of about $1 to $2 billion a season. and the highest paid payroll is about $200 million. So if you're making, say you're the New York Yankees and you're making, $2 to $3 billion a season, and you're only paying $200 million in revenue, the players generate all of that revenue. The players make the money. We go in. I've never seen one person go into the stadium. I've never seen one person with a Theo Epstein Cubs jersey on.
No,
I've never seen. Yeah,
yeah.
You don't see anybody wearing the coach's jersey. You don't see anybody wearing the owner's jersey. The players are what generate the money. So for you to think that a player getting $20 million, the highest paid player. Let's take the highest paid player for instance. Let's take a Mike Trout, who's making on average about $34 million a year.
Yep.
So you're making $34 million, and you're the reason everybody's coming to that ballpark in Los Angeles. There's no other big names in Los Angeles. They signed Rendon this year, but there's no other big name that people are coming to when the Los Angeles Angels are playing. And you're generating, they generate, I believe it's $800 million in for the Angels. They're considered a lower market team because for whatever reason. So $800 million is what he is generating on his own because nobody else is coming to see that team other than him. And he's making 34 of that $800 million. Like, if you're telling me that that's overpaid, then you just don't understand business.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to take it into context. You got to take it into context as put it into your job. What do you do for a living? Like me, I'm a carpenter. So if I go and work for a carpentry business, if I'm working on my own, I'm charging people $65, $70 an hour for my labor. But I know if I go to work for somebody's business, I can't make that. I'm going to make 25, maybe 30, 35, depending on how much they want a carpenter. But that is significantly less than what you generate on your own. And I get it because there is a payroll and there is this and there is that they have to pay for. They have an overhead, but it's not to that extent. Like you're not. You're not making as a business. You're not making 10 times what you're paying me. That's not how it works.
But
and
then
that's how it works in professional sports. So
you also got to remember too that at the end of the day, they're not. They don't really care if Jay shows up on the job or if Combs shows up on the job. Trout's a different animal.
If Trout's not in the lineup, people are pissed.
Right. If Combs doesn't show up, I'm sure they're not gonna work, or they're not gonna turn. They're not gonna stop work that day.
The house is still gonna get built. The deck is still gonna get built. Whatever is getting built is still gonna get built. And I'm just out of a job.
Right.
If Mike Trout decides not to show up for work, the Los Angeles Angels are in trouble.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I'm not a big proponent of players are overpaid or they don't deserve the money that they get. They absolutely do. It's business. It's what it is, and that's just how it works. So some of those people out there that are like, oh, they're overpaid and blah 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 blah. Let's see. Junior chimes in. Who do you see winning the World Series? I just said I see whoever wins between Tampa and New York. I think is going to win the World Series. I'm rooting for the Padres.
Yeah,
I really am. I would love to see the Padres win it.
I would definitely love to see them win it. Are they probably going to? Probably not. But
TB3 means 3 titles in Tampa Bay.
Oh no.
Okay.
Way.
So Tampa Bay had the Lightning win the Stanley Cup. They've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are pretty good, and then they've got the Tampa Bay Rays. So I just said the Tampa Bay Rays could absolutely win the World Series. I think the winner of that Yankees-Tampa series. So that gives them 2 titles if Tampa Bay pulls it off. The Tampa Bay Bucks, I picked them to win a Super Bowl. So
did you?
I did. Preseason, I picked them to be the number 1 seed in the NFC, and I picked them to go all the way to the Super Bowl, and I have them beating Baltimore in the Super Bowl.
I feel like it's a great possibility. Could it happen? Yeah. It could happen. I don't foresee it happening because I think Tampa's going to go or the Bucks are going to go pretty far this year, but I don't think they're going to win it this year. I think Seattle is going to give them a run for their money when it comes down to it.
Seattle's absolutely a team. I could see Seattle winning it all too, and would be shocked.
Right. And then, I mean, you can't really count out Green Bay at this point, the way that they're playing.
Yeah.
If Mike Evans is down next week, because he did twist his ankle a little bit this week, and he was playing on a hobbled ankle. I mean, if he goes down, and then they got Godwin down, and now right before we came on, I heard that OJ Howard ruptured his Achilles, so he's out for the season. But I mean, they got depth at the tight end position, so I mean, they don't really need to worry about that per se. But I mean,
yeah, Howard, he really likes Brate too. Brate's been hauling in touchdowns so far in the season.
Yep.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa does it. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle does it. I think that those are your two teams out of the NFC, though. Brandon Jr. says, "What are your favorite in-person sports memories?" Man, I've got a lot. Do you go to a lot of games? You go to a lot of events?
A lot of Patriots games, not a lot of the other teams per se. But we did for a few years have some season tickets and stuff like that. So we used to go a lot, but within the last couple of years, we haven't really been to a whole lot of games. But I mean, going to Foxborough and sitting out in the cold and throwing snow up in the air and throwing snowballs at people is always fun. Just sitting out in the parking lot and having a few brews and always good times. Always good times there. I mean, I haven't really seen too many memorable sporting, anything sporting or sporting events, where records have been set or home runs or anything to that factor, but I mean, just the regular sports memories, I guess. I mean, I've seen most of it just, TV.
Yeah. So I've gone to a lot. I go every chance that I can. I'm really disappointed. I just moved back to Chicago first time since 1999. I've actually lived back home. So I was really disappointed I didn't get out to Wrigley this year just because they weren't allowing fans in the stands. But one of my favorite moments actually was in Boston. I got a couple favorite moments in Boston at Fenway. I went and saw the Cubs play a 3-game series. I sat on the Monster to see the Cubs play the Red Sox. That was fun. But I think the best one for me in Boston was I was there for the Patriots Day walk-off home run. And it was funny because they come up with the bases loaded, and they're down by 3, and everybody's like, bases are loaded, Poppy's on deck, and everybody's like, don't strike out. Give Poppy a chance. Don't strike out. And then he goes yard. Right. and Poppy's on deck. And it was crazy. And man, it was just a fun environment. Boston fans are fun to be around because they're just like Chicago fans. They're diehard fans, and they really love their teams. They're just annoying about it sometimes. But yeah, no, so that's one. Another big moment. I was at Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game in 1998. So that was a fun one to be at, watching Kerry. I mean, he was just dominant that day against the Astros.
Yeah, I even remember that game.
Yeah. And
he
then
was very dominant that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I was in the press box actually for the game 2 of the ALCS a couple years back when the Red Sox won the World Series. I was in the press box for game 2, and that was a cool experience. That press box, man, that press box sways a lot when that stadium gets jumping.
Oh, yeah.
Because that press box is out there. So when they it was the 5th inning, and they hit a home run to take the lead. And when they hit that home run to take the lead, that place exploded, and I could feel myself in the press box going like this. That press box sways a ton.
The funny thing is, it's not even the whole press box. It's like it's all Fenway. It's just like,
yeah,
it's like moving like.
It's great, man. They get loud. I love live sporting events. Just because of the atmosphere.
Nothing beats being there and just the atmosphere and the euphoria and nothing. Yeah. You get there early. You can smell the grass and just nothing beats it. I mean, I I love watching live baseball. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
really like watching it on TV and stuff like that. But when you're actually at the game, enjoying a few beers around a bunch of people that know the game, and it's not just like they're, bandwagon fans and, they're only there because, the Red Sox are good this year, and stuff like that. It's like the fan base up here is really knowledgeable. They're really diehards for, diehard fans. And, it's just, maybe we can be a little bit overboard and we're, a little bit too braggadocious, if you will. But,
Yeah. Yeah. I was there in, God, I believe it was 98 or 99. I can't remember the year. But when the Chicago Wolves won the AHL, the Calder Cup it was back then. I was there in Game 7 when they won that. So that was a pretty cool experience, too, watching it. Even though it was a minor league team, but watching a team lift the cup, and when the fans were going crazy, the players were going crazy. The players started throwing their gear to the crowd, like throwing their sticks, their gloves, and everything.
Yeah.
And then the goalie comes off and he takes off his mask. He's about to throw it in the crowd, and you see the equipment manager tackle him. He's like, "No,
no.
That's a $3,000 helmet. What are you doing?
We don't have the money for that. Where are you going with that?
Yeah. So I've got a lot of memorable, sports memories. I've been to a lot of events, WWE events, all sorts of stuff. So I got a lot of them, but those are some of my favorites. Are you a movie guy? You get into sports movies?
I'm a big movie guy. Sports movies, I watch them. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but not really my forte. But I do watch them.
Yeah. So I'm a big proponent that the Sandlot is the greatest sports movie of all time.
The greatest sports movie of all time?
Yeah.
Oh,
the Sandlot.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's up there.
I like it because it brings you back, and it stands the test of time. Like I show my kids the Sandlot. The kids love the Sandlot. I'll show my grandkids the Sandlot, and I'm sure that they'll love it too.
Love it too, of course.
Yeah. And the Sandlot is one of those movies that it brings you back to the beauty of the game. Like it brings you back to when you're with your friends growing up. Yeah. And you're just picking teams and I got this guy, I got that guy. So for me, I've always loved the Sandlot as a great sports movie. I feel like one of the most overrated sports movies of all time is probably God, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's a football movie there with
Rudy.
No, not Rudy.
Remember the Titans?
You remember the Titans? Yes. I feel like that's a very overrated movie. It's a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like people hype it up to be something that it's like.
I also think
insane.
That Rudy also falls in that category as well. I don't think that Rudy is as great as people like to say it is, as far as being a sports movie. But it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's very overrated as far as sports movies come along.
Yeah. Brandon Jr. says it's not Foxborough anymore; it's Sixborough. My son is a diehard Patriots fan, man. This kid,
and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. It's about to be Sevenborough within the next couple of years for sure.
Oh man! Yikes! I can't. You know what I can't wait for in New England is I can't wait for you guys to have that next 2-14 season.
Right. and it would have been very possible this year if we didn't go out and get Cam. But I think Cam is good for another 4 years, and I think if you lock him up, and I don't know what you're gonna have to pay for him. You don't obviously sell the house for him or anything, but you give him a decent contract where you can get some good players to put around him, and who's to say that? Which I kind of heard was a rumor, but who's to say that they don't get a Julio Jones or they don't go get a Odell Beckham or something like that, and you put some receivers around Cam, and before you know it, the Patriots might be a very potent team. And then you got to remember all the guys that are sitting out this year due to COVID. They have like 9 guys that are just sitting out due to COVID this year.
They've got a really solid defense there, a really solid and really young defense too. And they are really good. I said I can't wait for the next 2-14 season. Junior says I can. So, All right, so let's see here. Not getting too much interaction with the shop talk other than Brandon Jr. here. Where were you stationed?
I've been a lot of places. North Carolina.
Where were you stationed when you were in the States?
In the States, North Carolina, Camp Lejeune.
Camp Lejeune. All right. So I was on Camp Lejeune for 2 years. I was on Pendleton for 2 years. Pendleton was crazy, man. Pendleton was crazy because Tijuana was so close.
Yeah.
And we used to go to Tijuana, and there was a club out there called Club A. And have you ever been to Tijuana? Have you ever gone out to Pendleton?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have that Club A, and when I was out there, it was a $10 cover charge to get in, but it was an alcohol buffet. It was all you could drink all night. For
the guy's just rolling around with the whistle with the tequila. He's like,
with the whistle and the tequila. Yeah, absolutely. You just lean your head back, and he pours it down your throat. Oh man, did I get myself in some trouble? I remember one night we were with about a group of 6 of us, and we're leaving the club, and the cops take us out back, and they robbed us and took all of our money. So we went back to base, and I'll never forget it, man. Gunny Harris was this guy who was a huge black dude, just ripped. And he was the guy who would go up the rope climb, and he would grab one rope in each hand, and he would go with no legs and just go up the rope for motivation. And he was absolutely insane. So we get back to base, and one of the guys tells Gunny about it. And Gunny's like, "What, are you kidding me?" He's like, "Where was this at?" And we tell him where. He gets us all in the truck. We go back to Tijuana, and he goes to the cops. We go to the police station. He's like, "You guys robbed my guys. We want all their stuff back, and we want it back now, or we're pressing charges." The cop says, "No problem. Come back here." So we all go back there, and they fucking robbed us again. And so we're on the ride back, and we're just like, "Yeah, hey, thanks a lot, Gunny. I appreciate it." Yeah, that was some good times, man.
You were about to set them straight, Gunny. The best secret that I will ever tell anybody if they're gonna go to Mexico is put some money in your sock, because of the fact that is always liable and bound to happen when you're in Mexico. Yeah. And the police are the worst culprits down there, and that's the absolute fact. They will rob you, just like you said, man. They will rob you, and they will leave you on the side of the road with nothing, no cell phone, no nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then you're trying to get back into the States, and you're like, "I swear to God, I'm a Marine," and you're like, "Yeah, okay, buddy, yep,
yeah,
all right."
Yeah, exactly. And luckily for me, most of the time I was stationed there was before 2001, before September 11th.
Right.
So they didn't have the checkpoints that they do now. So it was a lot easier to cross the border back then. But man, Tijuana was crazy because you had it's 18 to drink over there, and all the girls from San Diego State would go, man. And oh my God.
They say 18 to drink, but it's like, really, if you can see over the bar type deal,
Yeah.
That's just
absolutely.
That's just their safe. It's just what they say to play. It's safe for the most part.
Yeah, and I'll never forget, man. My first weekend there, we went out there, and 18-year-old kid, and we get a hotel room. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be great, blah blah blah. And I get to the hotel room. We got a tub full of, we just put ice in the bathtub, and everybody brought a bottle. So we just had alcohol galore, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to teach you how to play spades." I said, "All right, cool. I've never played spades before." They're like, "All right, so for every book that you lose, you got to take a shot." I said, "All right, cool. No problem, man." I think I played about 2 hands, and I think I drank a whole 5th of Crown Royal to myself, and I'll never drink Crown Royal again because I went into the bathroom and I lost my shit over the entire tub of alcohol. I just man, it was absolutely horrendous. So now anytime that I even smell Crown Royal, I just get the bubbles again, and I just I don't.
Yeah, man.
I don't do
that's how I am with the old Captain Morgan there.
Yeah.
And it's just like when you're that age too, I'm not promoting it and whatever, but you feel like you're indestructible, one, because you're like at the absolute peak of physical fitness. Like I was never more, ripped or whatever, could run, could, do whatever I absolutely wanted. I could literally smoke like 4 cigarettes and just run a 3 mile and it'd be, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Not that not that I smoke now or anything, but like, just like I could do it at that
absolutely.
point. You know what I'm saying? Like I could just do it at that point. I could smoke like 12 cigarettes and just run 3 miles, and then after I was done doing that, go to the gym and lift weights too. You know what I'm saying? So it was just. But
it was absolutely insane.
Even then, it was just liquor and liquor and liquor and liquor and.
That's all. Oh, dude, you lived for Fridays. You lived for Fridays, and you hoped you passed the inspections, the PFT, and everything, and you didn't get grounded for the weekend, and you could leave base.
Thursday, you'll have your little field day, and just hopefully you're not grounded for the weekend.
I went, and just because of field days, man, I went and got my own apartment when I was on Camp Lejeune, because I just had those roommates that could never pass. I was like, you know what, I'm moving off base. So I can't do this shit no more. So all right, guys. So that's all the time that we have for now. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Remember, check out the All Access Sports Network. Check out and subscribe on YouTube to the Triple Shot Sports Podcast. That is Triple Shot Sports Podcast on YouTube. Have a great night, guys.